Hey, today we're going to talk real quick because we got people coming in and out. It's January, it's cold, I think it's 8 degrees outside and like a minus wind chill factor. So what these short little Thursday videos are going to be about, we might call them 10-minute Thursdays, are educational segments that I get asked a lot of questions about. So this week I've gotten a lot of questions on tippet material. What is tippet material? Tippet material is the portion of your line leader tippet. It's the last section of your equation, your line, that's a consumable part, basically. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the differences in lines real quick, the differences in leaders real quick, and show you how to put a line leader on there. So to begin with, we have a very inexpensive line, Rio's demo line, $24.99. Why is this so cheap? Well, it doesn't have a coating on it. It will float momentarily, or you can gink it up, but it doesn't have a loop on either end, and it's probably flawed. Okay, so that's your $24.99 leader. If you're just starting out and that's all you can afford, that gets you on the water, that gets you catching fish, we have it here for you. But really the manufacturer does not want to use this out in the industry as fly line. They classify it as a demo line. It's for practicing. If you're doing it, if someone like myself, a shop owner that's doing a lot of casting with a particular line, they put a demo line on so you can go out there and throw it in the gravel, on the concrete. It doesn't really matter. It gets tore up. It's $25. It's an investment for the shop owner. But I make it available for you guys that are just starting out, that really don't really care, don't understand the financial differences between the two more expensive lines. You can take line all the way up to over $100. People go, whoa, hold on right there, brake squeal, $100 for fly line. Yeah, you can't. If you're going marlin fishing or red drum fishing or bonefish fishing or fishing in Alaska, you might want to invest in that $100. But we're talking about the Mid-Atlantic area here. Whitefly Outfitters located in Harpers Ferry. We're mainly a warm water fishery, meaning smallmouth bass. So really doesn't come into play the need for a $100 line. Maybe if you're going rockfish fishing down the Chesapeake Bay, you want to be able to shoot a little further. But typically I've found that's not really the case. So have your cheap, inexpensive line, throwaway line, your demo line, your blemish line. That may not appeal to most people. Your next step is about a $40 line. If you're fishing Evetts Run or the Opequon Creek or the Catoctin Creek, maybe that's all you need. You're not really casting 40, 50 feet. You're roll casting for the most part. What you're not going to have on this line is you're not going to have a welded loop. I'm going to talk about a welded loop on the next one, but you're not going to have a welded loop to attach your leader here. And you're not going to have the extra slick coating. The extra slick coating is going to be on the moderately priced or more expensive price on this case, right down the middle price in this example. So you're not going to have that on that. Your $54, now this is probably going to be in the, let's just say the $50 to $69, $50 to $70 line. You're going to get an extra slick coating on it, pretty much across the board for all manufacturers. You're going to get a nicer coating, and you're going to get a welded loop. Now, what does that welded loop mean to you? And why is it so much? Well, this welded loop is a loop melted into the line. There's not a machine that's doing that. They have an extrusion machine that can take the length of the line and through various tension points make it various thicknesses and then chop it off, and then a finisher has to come through and finish that line out, and that finisher is going to put on that welded loop. So that's going to take man hours, man time. It's not going to take hours to tie that loop, but all day he's sitting there tying loops on there. So he's got to make that loop. He's got to slice off a part of the coating, slide a shrink wrap on top of it, then take this entire line and heat it in a 350 or 450 degree oven to melt that coating back together, and at that point it becomes one. So that loop is not going to break. I've had people say that over time it has broken on them, and yeah, over time the hinging effect of the leader could break the loop. Casting millions and millions of times, years after years, yeah, it could break that loop. But I just went red drum fishing. We were catching fish that were 20 to 40 pounds was probably the heaviest on 9 weights. Throwing it on a welded loop, it didn't break. So we were putting the brakes on those fish too. That video is also on YouTube, so you can check that out on our channel. But what a welded loop will do for you is your better leaders, and we'll go over that in a minute. Your better leaders are going to also have a perfection knot tied in there. So we're going to take the knot of the leader over the loop of the leader over the loop of the line. And then we're going to come all the way to the bottom of the leader. Now this is a pretty heavy leader that I'm using. That's a used leader from last year, one I was using for carp. So it's pretty beat up. So this is probably the last time I'll see this leader. We'll put that leader through that loop, and we're going to bring that whole length, that 9-foot length, back through here, and we're going to create what's called a loop-to-loop connection. Now what that does for you guys is no more nail knot. That's the loop-to-loop connection right there. This is the connection that I was using and catching 40-pound fish on and not breaking. So same connection I used to catch big carp, big smallmouth, striped bass. Your 12-inch rainbow is not going to break that connection. So there's your connection there. That's why you're paying $10 more for this line. So be happy about it, because you're not having to tie a nail knot every time you need to change your leader. Okay, so why do you need to change your leader? Well, the leader is tapered from the very thick part, which attaches to your line. So it's tapering down. You have your thick part of your fly line, thick part of your leader, and you come down to the opposite end, and this is the tapered part of your leader is going to be much thinner. So that enables your fly to turn over. So why don't you just tie your fly right on there? You're good to go. Well, you can. And if I were in a situation where this was the only fly I was going to fish all day long, i.e. when I go on a guided trip or provide a guided trip for my clients, I have one bass popper rod set up, floating leader, floating line, and I tie a boogle bug on there. Pretty much that's all I'm going to use all day. I'm going to tie that direct to the leader. Less knots, less breakages, less problems with slippage, that kind of thing, a better turnover. All those are beneficial. But let's say I'm going to change to now a woolly bugger or a clouser minnow, something that sinks. I'm going to change my leader. I simply back off my knot, slide my leader through my welded loop on my fly line. It's off. Repeat with a new leader. I might be putting on a lighter leader like 3X. This is a very heavy leader, and this is designed, this is a mono leader. We're going to get into that in just a second. That's going to be designed to float. So I'm changing leaders in the middle of the day. I don't need to tie 2 nail knots, take all that time while I'm on the water, and I just put a new leader on there and I'm good to go. So ready to fish. So what happens next in the equation is that stays on the rod. I have a leader here that I'm gonna fish trout or bass or striped bass with, and it's 9 foot long. If I just tie my fly on here and use up fly line or use up leader every time I change flies, sooner or later I'm going to get to this real fat part. It's that you're getting into the taper of the tapered leader. You're not going to be able to get that through your fly line. It's not going to tie knots well. So what happens then is you need to use your tippet. Your tippet is your consumable part of your fly line equation from beginning to end. Your tippet is what you're going to tie on with a blood knot to the end of your leader, and you only tie on about 18 to 24 inches of tippet material. As I change flies throughout the day and get closer to this knot, I can cut this, tie a new blood knot, tie a new 24 inches of tippet material on there, and use that as my consumable part of the equation. I'm saving my leader. I'm not spending that additional money every time I change flies, change leaders. That would be ridiculous. So that's what your tippet material is. A lot of people come in and ask questions, and this is why we're coming full circle. Now, tippet material. 99% of the folks that come in here are asking for 5X leader and 5X tippet. Well, 99% of the stores, if you walk into Orvis or Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops, that's what they're going to sell you because that's what they know about fly fishing. And really, the leader should match the type of fly or the type of fish that you're fishing. I wouldn't use 5X leader if I'm going blue marlin fishing. That's only 5 pounds, right? That's a pretty obvious example. But a lot of people, because we're in the mid-Atlantic, they're fishing trout and bass on the same rod. They think that, hey, I'm just going to use 5X because that's what I have and that's what worked for trout. And I'm going to put this boogle bug on there. And what's going to happen is it's going to helicopter. And you're going to get this series of twisted knots in your leader, and a fish is going to come up and eat it, and you're going to set the hook and it's going to break right there. So typically what I do is if I'm fishing for bass, I fish no smaller than 3X. Now, wait a second, that says 8.2 pounds on there, Brian. 8.2 pounds, I'm never going to catch an 8-pound bass. That's the lineal breaking strength of this 8.2. That's if you attach one end to a hard object, another end to a hard object, and pull, it takes 8.2 pounds. We're not taking into consideration the pound strength of the knot. When you tie any knot, and this is why I don't use knotted leaders, the more knots you have in a leader, the more areas you have for breakage. Simple. Or slippage. So typically when I tie a slip knot or a trilene knot or a perfection loop, they're about 85 to 90% line pound test effective. So what's that saying? The knots are weaker than the line. So if I already take this 5-pound test, and I'm not a mathematician, I don't have a calculator here, and I take that down to 80%, I'm down into the 4-pound area. Take that 4 pound, helicopter it a couple of times, get a 3.5 pound or a 3 pound bass on it. Takes you down. The first rock he hits without leader or that tippet, it's going to break it. I don't want to be losing $7 boogle bugs all the time. So I'll go to a 1X or an OX leader with 1X tippet. The minimum I'll throw for smallmouth is 3X. 8 pound, 8.2 pounds is the minimum I'll throw for smallmouth. Why? You've heard it before, you've read it in the magazines. Smallmouth are not leader shy or not line shy. They're boat aware. They know that that boat is there, but they're not worried about that leader, especially, say that 3 times quick, especially if you're using fluorocarbon. You can go up on fluorocarbon and not give up the visibility. So that's the equation. You got cheap lines, moderately priced lines, more expensive lines. You're going to get more for your buck. You have cheap leaders. You have a monofilament leader that you can use. Why would I use monofilament leader? That's like back in the 80s, dude. Monofilament floats. So if I'm going to be fishing a boogle bug on my rod that is set up with floating, I'm going to use a monofilament leader. Monofilament leader is different than the monofilament that you're going to buy from Trilene or Strand or Bass Pro Shops. It's not the same leader. That's the spinning reel leader is a more supple leader, and is going to have less memory. These leaders are designed to have more memory. Now, why would we want more memory? We want more memory because once we straighten it out, we want it to stay straight. So it forces that fly to turn over on you. So, and make the ultimate maximum amount of distance. We don't want it to all dog pile up in the middle of the cast. If your cast is dog piling at the end of the cast, your leader is too thin for the fly that you're trying to cast. With that said, I'm signing out because it's been over 10 minutes. Apologize for that, but look for next week's tip on 10-Minute Thursdays.